Hello everyone, Jared here, and are you ready to see some pandas? Well, that's not going to be in today's video. Instead, for today's video of Day 2 in Chengdu, we're heading to South Central Chengdu, to a major tourist area known as JinLi Street, right next to Wuhou Temple.
Behind me, you can see JinLi Street. This is where we're going to go ahead and check out the night scene in Chengdu.
JinLi Ancient Street is perhaps best known for its 400-meter pedestrian lane, built to resemble what ancient Chengdu must have looked like. It's packed with shops, lined with lanterns, and absolutely packed with pedestrians, and it's a must to go to if you come to Chengdu. In fact, this is my third time here. JinLi Street is packed with various vendors for all different kinds of foods, ranging from high-end restaurants to very cheap food stands. And there are absolutely tons of gift shops selling all types of baubles, from hairbrushes to instruments, paper cutouts, and more. By the way, if you do end up liking some of the food, you can always buy some of the spices here as well, that are native to the area. However, that's not what we were here for mostly. What we came for this time was to go to this place to see some Sichuanese opera, or face changing. I forget what the pricing was, but I don't believe it was any more than $10 or $15 a person. We were brought into a small chamber and sat in the back, and then a server came by to pour tea for us, using this teacup with a very long spout. Clearly it's not very practical, but it's very entertaining to watch. So as we let our tea cool, we munched on some snacks and waited for the show to begin. It's time for some tea ceremony and face changing. And when it seemed like we were about to start, I got out my camera, started recording, and after the introductions of what we would be seeing in a moment, the show began. First, we started with the tea ceremony, which showed the traditional way that one makes tea. There sure seemed to be a lot of steps involved in the process of serving tea. Although one thing I noticed is the individual performing the tea ceremony was dressed as a famous Three Kingdoms character. Following the tea ceremony, there was some kind of traditional dance. I don't remember there being a dance before when I came to see this in the past, but one thing that's clear is they've definitely added on new elements to the show, and most were welcome except for the loud music. One thing I do remember, however, is watching someone perform tricks while pouring tea. And then, when that's done, allowing someone from the audience to go up and try to perform the same tricks. Last time I was here, one of my classmates did this. Then, there was another dance performance. And this dance performance, unlike the previous one, seemed to have another connection to the Three Kingdoms period and novel. Because the two characters who were in this dance, that you see here first, Diao Chan, and then the man wielding the weapon, Lü Bu, were lovers in this ancient tale, and this was definitely a new adaptation to this show that they didn't have in the past. But the real highlight of the show was, as I stated in the beginning, face changing, in which an individual is dressed in an elaborate costume, and then the face changes. Pretty neat trick, and it doesn't just happen one time, it happens multiple times, and that's what makes this so enjoyable. He must have changed masks at least 10 times, and unfortunately it felt like it ended too soon.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that show that we just saw as much as I did, although it has changed over the years from the last time I saw it here in Chengdu.
And that's not the only thing that's changed. Some shops look different from the last time I was here, as well as the ways that they would try to attract customers to some of the stores like this. But many places are also the same, continuing to sell traditional tourist items and also local specialties like durian, as well as lots and lots of peanuts with peanut candies. There's also a dish called Old Grandma's Rabbit Head if you want to try that. But what I had to resist the urge to get was more Three Kingdoms merchandise. They have figurines of many different characters from the books and TV shows in stores all over the area. They even have panda versions of your Three Kingdoms characters. Perhaps this good luck shirt 666 was the most difficult to resist buying. But anyways, even though this area is supposedly only 400 meters, it can feel like it takes a whole lot of time to get through the whole length considering how crowded it is and how much there is to see along the way. The crowds actually force you to go slower when you're here.
If you want to avoid the crowds, maybe coming in the evening isn't the best idea.
The reason that we came here in the evening, however, is because one thing that I wanted to do, which was to be able to take videos of the area as it got darker and lanterns started to glow brightly at night, as this is known as the Street of Lanterns. And there are plenty of picturesque areas to take photos of, and you'll find people doing it all over inside JinLi Street. Even we would stop to take some pictures and videos every once in a while, trying to figure out where would be the best spot for selfies. And we may have held up the crowd just a little bit by doing this too. But anyways, regardless of what you do here, you're going to probably end up having a great time, just walking around and looking at everything there is to see. And don't worry about getting lost, there's signs, including in English. But as we continued our journey through JinLi Street, we went past a wide courtyard with lots of tables and ended up in the back area where there are plenty of lanterns hanging from above, as well as a special shrine that people buy locks and put them together with ribbons before placing them on lines here as a symbol of love between couples. And then came the real attraction of JinLi Street, ear cleaning.
I did this once in 2007, I did this once in 2011, and since it's been 8 years, I figure it's time that I should go ahead and have my ears cleaned again.
So immediately I had to select a price for what course I wanted, and then we proceeded to go ahead and clean my ears. Look away if you are disgusted by seeing earwax.
两边都有，我看了一下那边有，
知道了。
我掏出来你看一下嘛，很大的。
Now, he said basically there's so much earwax in there that I have to move up in the price for both ears.
麻烦你。
I will hear like never before.
He began by putting some dissolving agent in my ear to break up the earwax so that it would be easier to get it out. And boy, did I have a lot of earwax in that one ear.
I hear the popping in my ear of whatever he put inside. I know, I'm going to have the biggest amount they've ever seen by the end of this. Isn't this how you would want to spend your vacation? Getting your ears clean?
Just look at that. Each time he pulls something out of my ear, it almost seems like it's never ending. You can tell my ears really needed cleaning.
And just think, it's the first ear. You know, I'm wondering why they don't do this more often in other places in China. It seems to be a specialty just of JinLi Street. And now everyone's coming together around.
Apparently, it's not very common for people to see foreigners doing this, because we ended up getting a crowd, including one of the workers who was working right before I arrived. And she even had to step in for a brief moment to provide fresh and cleaner instruments, because the guy who was working on me used all of his up.
You see, I'm not just a normal customer.
Nope.
And I continued to gather crowds, but most of them would leave pretty quickly.
My ear feels like it actually reached a breakthrough. There's air where there normally hasn't been air in the past. Ah, there we go.
The first ear ended up taking half an hour, but once he moved on to the other ear, that ended up taking a lot less time, just around 10 minutes to do in total. But as you can tell, it got dark while we were trying to finish getting my ears done. The guy who was working on me was very careful, and he was sweating buckets from all the delicate work that he was doing.
Make sure that when you do this, though, that you know the word for hurt, because I've had to say it just a few times. And he takes it out immediately and does something else carefully. They're careful about it, so you don't have to worry. There's no question which ear was worse at this point. Last time I did this, I had 2 classmates just watching the whole time, laughing hysterically.
You know, after a bit, I started to think that I was the attraction of JinLi Street.
Well, about 4 of them left when he turned.
Yeah, they ran.
And finally, after a total of 40 minutes getting my ears cleaned, we were done. So I ended up paying him in the end for the most expensive option, and I left with much emptier and cleaner ears than when I arrived. So anyways, that's a unique experience that you can really only have if you come here to Chengdu's JinLi Street. But now that it was dark, we walked around some more, looking at what else there was to see here, including more people sitting in chairs getting their ears done too, looking at the various statues of the Three Kingdoms characters that are placed all around, and they even had some behind the stage of the big open courtyard area where they had a free face-changing show. But with it being dark, it wasn't long before we decided it was time for us to leave, and we exited through the entrance to Wuho Temple right next door, which rather unexpectedly had a big night market set up inside of the courtyard, and after a quick glance at what there was to see, we continued walking out toward the main gate where we hoped to find a place to eat.
So after our trip through JinLi Street and getting my ears cleaned and everything else, we're going to go ahead and enter this Tibetan restaurant that's right across from the exit to Wuho Temple.
And at this place, our Tibetan restaurant, we were surprised to see how empty it was. There were plenty of seats for us to choose from, which allowed us to get a wide open shot of the interior of the restaurant as we sat around waiting for our meal to arrive.
Here we are at a Tibetan restaurant, 9 o'clock at night. We're going to have something with garbanzo beans. We're going to have the pastry with yak meat in it. We're going to have a mushroom bean kind of soup. And Jared is beginning, the first dish is his dessert. So they start the meal with dessert, and I'll flip it around.
What he called dessert was actually just a flavorless yogurt that, after adding a bit of sugar to, helped dampen the sourness. So after that appetizer, our first dish arrived. This is a Tibetan yak meat pie. I never expected for it to have this kind of dough, which I generally associate with the West. Grab one of these. The meat.
Look how easily he does that with chopsticks. I'll use my fingers, thank you very much.
I've realized now, this is really more like toasted pita bread. That's really more the flavor profile that we got from this. So good bread. The meat could probably use some more flavor, something to it, but it's decent. And next were the last two items. This is a mushroom soup of some sort. Mushroom bean soup. And then we have our garbanzo vegetable salad. I gotta get some of the garbanzos there. Hard to judge based off the first bite. I might have to get a little more. But so far it's good. Okay. I'd be very happy to eat garbanzo beans in this kind of way whenever I have garbanzo beans. This is nice. Maybe a little on the spicy side if you get one of those seeds, but it's good. Time to try the soup. That's creamy. Feels very light flavor. Good soup. And once we finished our meal at the Tibetan restaurant, it was time for us to head on back to the hotel. So after waiting around for about 15 minutes for a taxi, we got on in and it took us back, and we were done for day 2 in Chengdu. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you come back next time for our final day in Chengdu, finally going to see the pandas. Goodbye. Thank you again for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Also, please share this channel with others so we can make the channel grow together as I continue to put out more videos.